Just how historically great is this team?
The Chiefs, right now, this season, can become the greatest dynasty in NFL history.
Let us stack them up against some of the top teams that the game has ever seen that we believe would throttle this year's Chiefs. 2016 New England Patriots. The 2016 New England Patriots exemplified resilience and dominance, culminating in one of the most remarkable seasons in NFL history. Despite quarterback Tom Brady's 4-game suspension at the season's outset, the Patriots showcased their depth and adaptability, achieving a 3-1 record under backup quarterbacks Jimmy Garoppolo and Jacoby Brissett. And then they proceeded to steamroll the opposition the rest of the way, finishing 17-2, including the playoffs once Brady returned. Not only did Brady have one of his best statistical seasons in a one-of-one career, but his team also had the best defense in the league that year, finishing 3rd in scoring and 1st in points allowed. While I'm sure they would have liked to avoid the heart palpitations, this group also holds that unique distinction of having pulled off one of the most impressive Super Bowl comebacks of all time. Ripping the souls out of everyone in the greater Atlanta area, they stormed back from being down 28-3 to cement one of the greatest seasons in NFL history. Considering the advantage that Brady had over Mahomes at the end of his career, you gotta think that back during his prime, he and the Pats really would have given KC fits. 1986 New York Giants. The 1986 New York Giants under head coach Bill Parcells was a powerhouse squad for the record books. The offense was efficient, led by quarterback Phil Simms, who earned Super Bowl MVP honors that year, and Joe Morris, who went for over 1,500 yards on the ground. But the real story was Lawrence Taylor in that defense, which allowed the second fewest points in the league and brutalized its opponents week in and week out. Taylor's relentless pass rush and disruptive playmaking set the tone for a unit that stifled opponents consistently. When all was said and done, they finished 17-2. Taylor took home Defensive Player of the Year honors, and they defeated the next 2 Super Bowl champions in the playoffs by a ridiculous combined score of 66-3. Yeah, it feels like a safe assumption that this year's Kansas City team would be another notch in LT & Co's belt. 2000 Baltimore Ravens. Led by linebacker Ray Lewis, the 2000 Baltimore Ravens allowed a mere 165 points during the regular season, the fewest ever in a 16-game schedule. We're talking about a defense that recorded 4 shutouts and was otherworldly effective against the run, allowing only 970 rushing yards all season. And it wasn't just the level that they played at that made them special, but the way that they went about their business that made them so terrifying. This iteration of the Ravens were as physical and punishing as it gets, and it would have made Patrick Mahomes' life absolutely miserable. Kansas City admittedly has a bit of an advantage offensively, considering the Ravens' offense was managed by quarterback Trent Dilfer. But hey, with the way that defense turned over the opposition and their strong running game with Jamal Lewis, I don't think it would matter that much. 1972 Miami Dolphins. The only team to complete a perfect season, the 72 Dolphins combined a punishing ground game with a stifling defense. Their ironically named no-name defense, though lacking superstar recognition, operated with flawless cohesion, allowing just 12.2 points per game and torturing opposing offensive coordinators. On the offensive side of the ball, the duo of running backs Larry Zonka and Mercury Morris each surpassed 1,000 rushing yards behind an offensive line that dominated the trenches. Their defense and rushing attack was so dominant that the team actually used 2 different quarterbacks at stretches during the year, Bob Greasy and Earl Morrall. While that clearly puts them at a disadvantage positionally against Mahomes and the Chiefs, they'd be lucky to even get the ball, as the Dolphins would likely employ their dominant rushing attack to control the clock, limiting Mahomes' opportunities, while their disciplined defense would focus on containing big plays and forcing Kansas City into a more methodical, less explosive game plan, making for a really challenging stylistic matchup. 2013 Seattle Seahawks. The 2013 Seattle Seahawks were a force to be reckoned with, boasting a 13-3 regular season record and clinching their first Super Bowl title in franchise history by humiliating future Hall of Famer Peyton Manning and the heavily favored Denver Broncos. Their defense, famously known as the Legion of Boom, was particularly dominant, leading the league in points allowed, yards allowed, and takeaways, a feat unmatched since the 1985 Chicago Bears. We're talking guys like Richard Sherman, Earl Thomas, Bobby Wagner, and Cam Chancellor. legit all-generational talents playing at the peak of their powers for the same team. It was simply unfair. Offensively, quarterback Russell Wilson showcased exceptional poise and playmaking ability, while running back Marshawn Lynch's punishing running style earned him the nickname Beast Mode, and this duo formed a great complement to the dominant defense. The Legion of Boom's physical coverage and ball-hawking skills could disrupt Patrick Mahomes' passing game, while the relentless pass rush would pressure him into making quick decisions. And whenever that happened, Sherman or Thomas or someone on that insanely talented defense was always sure to make the other team pay. The 1985 Chicago Bears. The 85 Bears are often heralded as one of the greatest defensive teams in NFL history, and with good reason. Their 46 defense, masterminded by coordinator Buddy Ryan, was designed to apply relentless pressure on quarterbacks, disrupting even the most potent of offenses. With Hall of Famers like linebacker Mike Singletary anchoring the middle and defensive end Richard Dent terrorizing the edges, this unit was a nightmare for opposing offenses. They led the league in points allowed, surrendering a mere 12.4 points per game, and recorded an impressive 64 sacks during the regular season. Offensively, quarterback Jim McMahon provided steady leadership, while running back Walter Payton, one of the game's all-time greats, powered the ground attack. In Super Bowl 20, they showcased their dominance with a 46-10 dismantling of the New England Patriots. Granted, this Chiefs team is more threatening than that Pats side that squeaked its way into the big game, but Buddy Ryan's defense would have been too much for even the great Andy Reid to scheme up against. 1996 Green Bay Packers. People may not realize it because of all the talk about those mid-90s Packers teams revolves around their Hall of Fame quarterback Brett Favre, but that 1996 team was actually super talented across the board. So much so that they not only led the league in scoring offense thanks to Favre & Co., but also scoring defense. And this wasn't some fluke either. This Green Bay team had bona fide Hall of Famers in Reggie White at defensive end and Leroy Butler at safety. And lest we forget their Swiss Army knife and secret weapon Desmond Howard, who was as dangerous as they come returning kicks at that time. The former Heisman winner had 3 punt returns for touchdowns during the regular season and 2 more in the playoffs, including one in the Super Bowl, which helped the Packers really pull away from New England, who had just moved within 6 points. When all is said and done, this squad finished 16-3 with a Lombardi Trophy held high, and Favre earned league MVP honors. 1984 San Francisco 49ers. With the way that Patrick Mahomes has struggled to protect the football at times this season, I think it's safe to say that even he, the greatest quarterback of his generation, would have been given fits by the 1984 49ers defense, which featured 3 Hall of Famers on its own. Never mind the guys that they had on offense. Kansas City has done well to squeak out games this year, but this 49ers team, with its top-ranked defense and second-ranked offense, dominated its opposition en route to an 18-1 record when all was said and done. And what makes it all the more impressive is who they beat, especially once the playoffs came around. In the NFC bracket, they shut out the New York Giants and Chicago Bears in back-to-back games, which may not sound impressive in the context of today's NFL, but at the time, they were legit as it got. And if you have any doubts that they could handle the Chiefs, just ask Dan Marino and the Dolphins, who marched through the 84 season in their own right, and just think about how it would actually go. Marino had just finished a truly historic season, shattering the league's single-season passing record and capturing MVP, and everyone and their mother was taking the Dolphins to win the whole thing, only to see the 49ers dog-walk Miami 38-16. And keep in mind, we haven't even mentioned Joe Montana yet, who is widely considered to be one of the top quarterbacks of all time and was at the peak of his powers during this run. 1992 Dallas Cowboys. It isn't uncommon for all-time great teams to have a signature nickname, a la the Steel Curtain of the 70s in Pittsburgh, the Hogs in DC in the 90s, or the Legion of Boom in Seattle in the 2010s. But this Dallas team was so special that it had 2 separate naming conventions that'll go down in infamy. Great Wall of Dallas, its ferocious and nearly impenetrable offensive line, and the Triplets, which is believed by NFL fans everywhere, not just by Jerry Jones, to be one of, if not the greatest trio of quarterback Troy Aikman, running back Emmitt Smith, and wide receiver Michael Irvin. What made this group all the more impressive is that this not only kicked off a run in which they won 3 out of 4 Super Bowls, but this all started just 3 seasons after a 1-15 finish. Jimmy Johnson and the aforementioned Jones built a true juggernaut. Not only did they outpace the 2 previous Super Bowl champions by winning the NFC East, they proceeded to roll through their competition during the postseason, outscoring their opponents by a combined 116-47, including a 52-17 decimation of the Bills in the Super Bowl. 1998 Denver Broncos. If the 98 Broncos didn't have such a veteran-laden roster, they very well could have been the first most undefeated team since the '72 Dolphins. You know, considering they started off the season 13-0 before shifting into second gear to rest up for the playoffs and subsequently drop in 2 of their final 3 contests. But hey, just saying, 17-2 isn't too shabby either, with John Elway under center, an all-time great tight end in Shannon Sharp, and 2 1,000-yard wide receivers in Rod Smith and Ed McCaffrey. This Denver offense was damn near impossible to stop. Oh yeah, and that's not even taking the league MVP, their running back Terrell Davis, into consideration. Look, as strong as the 24 Chiefs defense is, they wouldn't be able to keep pace with this Broncos attack to save their lives. We saw how Josh Allen and the Bills were able to punch holes in them. Honestly, this matchup could be a bludgeoning. But hey, which of these legendary NFL teams do you think would most destroy the best team in the NFL this year, the Kansas City Chiefs? Who do you think we're right on? Who do you think we're wrong about? Was there anything that we may have missed? Let us know in the comment section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, then clicking the like button helps us out a ton. And you know, we really appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching and we'll see you guys next time.